Welcome to the Dyno Six Pack Dynasty Football Podcast. My name is Jordan Schultz, and I'll be your host for today. Now that the NFL draft is all wrapped up and we know where all of our favorite rookies have landed, it's time to grade their dynasty outlooks and compare their pre and post draft rankings spot in my tiers. Today we will be taking a look at the rookie quarterbacks. Before we get started, though, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button so you can see more videos just like this. While you're at it, make sure to head over to fantasy6pack.net/plan today to become an all-access member over at Fantasy Six Pack. When you do that, you get access to our rankings, all of our draft cheat sheets, our DFS projections. We have some betting tools. Best of all, you get access to our Discord forum where you can message people like me and all of our other great writers directly, and we can help you out with your fantasy teams right then and there. All right, now let's get started looking at this rookie quarterback class. Leading the way at tier one, not a lot of change here, like no change at all, actually. CJ Stroud has been my quarterback one from the start. He is still my quarterback one after the draft. I think he's going to be a guy that you have to be a little bit patient with, but he's going to come on strong when he does. Like similar to like a Trevor Lawrence, where you kind of really saw him come on in like the second half of his second season. He's going to be good when they get him around more weapons. I'm a fan of their new coach. I kind of believe in what they're building over there. Looking at the depth chart right now, it's a little bit bare. He has Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary, and those are probably the best players on the roster around him on the offensive side of the ball. Receiving room, we got Nico Collins, Robert Woods. We got John Mechie coming back this year. He's an interesting guy. And then outside of them, we got the incoming rookies, Tank Dell and Xavier Hutchinson. Going down to number 2 here, still no change. We got Anthony Richardson. He was number 2 pre and post draft. As far as his landing spot, he could not have landed in a better spot in terms of the teams that were picking in the top 10. Immediately has the best surrounding cast around of all the quarterbacks surrounding him. You look around, you got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Isaiah McKenzie, Alec Pierce, Jelani Woods. You combine those weapons with the fact that Richardson's going to be one of the better running quarterbacks we've had in the last few years, and like the fantasy floor is high there. If there's anybody that has him at number 1, I can't fault them too much. In a draft, literally today, I had the 102. Was having a tough time deciding between those two, so I made a trade, brought back from 102 to 104, and picked up Dameon Pierce. Just took Bryce Young and was happy with it. Moving to Bryce Young, he is number 3 and the last guy in tier number 1 here. Looking around at what he has to help out, they got Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, they brought in DJ Chark, and then some guys remaining on the roster. We had Levis, Chenault, Terrace Marshall. They brought in Hayden Hurst, and then the big rookie that they brought in to help him out is Jonathan Mingo out of Ole Miss. Same thing I kind of said pre-draft. Bryce Young, his frame worries me a little bit, but outside of that, I'm not that worried. I still have him as my 4th ranked rookie in Superflex leagues. He would be my number 3 quarterback off the board there. I still have his dynasty outlook graded as an A-, which comes in on my grading scale as a high level starter. Both Stroud and Richardson I give A+ to, which means I think they have elite level fantasy production when they do hit. Moving down to number 2, still no change here for my pre-draft rankings. Number 4, we have Hendon Hooker. He is still my number 4 after the draft. I give his dynasty outlook a B+, which gives him above average starter potential. You're going to have to be patient with it. You may not see him at all this year. And if things are going well, you likely won't, because that means Jared Goff is going to be having them in the hunt for the playoffs. He's got a good system there, though. I like his coach, and he's a good quarterback. When he gets his starting job, you're going to want him in your fantasy lineups. They brought in Jahmyr Gibbs in the draft, and then you look at the receiving room around them. They got Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta they brought in, and then also David Montgomery. So another strong supporting cast, and there's a good chance that by the time he's the starter next year, they're going to have another weapon or two that they brought in. Number 5, we have Will Levis, who went to the Titans. I give his dynasty outlook a B, which is just kind of like a baseline fantasy starter for me. Has the worst depth chart around him out of all the top 5 quarterbacks. Derrick Henry is there now. I don't know if he's still going to be there during the season. There's already been trade rumors surrounding his name. Behind Derrick Henry, they got Tajay Spears. And then you look at the receiving room. You have Chig Okonkwo, Treylon Burks, rookie Josh Wiley. He's a tight end. I like him down the road a little bit. But outside of that, there's really not a lot there. Really don't like the situation. Wasn't a huge fan of him pre-draft. I had him number 5 going into it. Seeing him fall all the way to the second round made me feel a little bit justified when I saw some ranks have him up as high as number 1. Just feeling like I was a little bit crazy there. But he does round out tier number 2. And he's like the last guy that I really see starting long term down the road, even though I don't know how long he will be the starter, just because I don't really buy the talent that much. Moving down into tier number 3, this is where the rankings kind of jumped a little bit from my pre to post draft. Coming in at number 6, we have Stetson Bennett. He went to the Rams with pick 426. I'm going to give his dynasty outlook a B-. On my scale, that kind of comes in as a guy that is potentially streamable in the weeks that he does start. Obviously right now, the Rams depth chart, it all comes down to Matt Stafford. If he does by chance get injured again, then you insert Stetson Bennett. He has a high rushing floor. And then you have Cooper Kupp there. Outside of that, it's a little bit weak. You got Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers. But anytime you have a receiver like Cooper Kupp, if you're in, that's the guy that you want to start just because the potential is there for multiple touchdowns every single week. Or giving a short little dump off to Cooper Kupp that he takes clear down the field for 70 yards and a touchdown. So he is a guy that pre-draft I had number 8, bumped him up to number 6 in my rankings post-draft. Number 7, we have Jake Haener. He was number 6 going into the pre-draft process for me. He's going to go down to the Saints, where he'll be mentored by fellow Fresno State alumni Derek Carr. He produced in college. He can do a little bit of everything. I don't know that we really see him much this year or next year, but he is a guy that if Derek Carr does get hurt, I think he could be a nice little source of fantasy production in your super flex spot or your quarterback 2 spot there. Also give him a B- for his dynasty outlook. Next guy in our ranks, we have Clayton Tune. He is number 8, and he was my highest riser out of all the guys on the list that we're going to talk about today. Going into the pre-draft process, he was number 13. And one of the things I wrote about him is that he put up big production in college. And if he did get a chance to start, that he could be a nice producer for your fantasy teams. Fast forward to now, he gets drafted to the Arizona Cardinals with the 5th pick of the 5th round. I'm going to give him a dynasty outlook of a B-. I think there's a good chance he may actually get some starts this year, and he could be a decent producer while he's in there. Obviously, temper those expectations. He's not going to be your quarterback 1, but he's a guy that I think you could keep in there and in a bye week throw in as your super flex guy. He's sleeper. I would say put him as a sleeper. If I can get him and throw him on my taxi squad with the 4th round pick, I'm all about that, just because in super flex leagues, you can never have too many good quarterbacks there. Rounding out tier number 3 for me, that's going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who went to the Cleveland Browns with pick 506. Giving his dynasty outlook a C+. He was number 9 pre-draft, stayed at number 9. Really landed in a great system. But of course, they just committed a record-breaking amount of money to Deshaun Watson. So unless there's an injury, DTR is not going to see the field anytime soon. If that ever did happen, though, and he did step in, he's a guy that I think would put up fantasy points for you. Very accurate in the short and intermediate areas, and he knows how to run as well, too. So, anytime the quarterback has that rushing floor, we like them, and then there's some good weapons there in Cleveland as well, too. So he's a guy I'm throwing on my taxi squad and just kind of wait and see what happens, and, who knows if something happens down the road. Moving down to tier number 4, we have Aidan O'Connell at number 10. In the pre-draft process, I had him at number 14. Dynasty outlook for him is a C, which is just kind of like your standard guy that you kind of have on your bench, taxi squad. Don't ever really expect to start him. You just kind of have him there and, see what happens after injuries start happening. Jimmy Garoppolo just got signed there. He has not been a pillar of health, although they do seem to want to turn everything over to him and kind of be competitive these next few years while they transition. If by chance he ever did step in, though, similar to what we said about Stetson Bennett, he'd have Devontae Adams there, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow. They brought in Michael Myers. So good supporting cast there with the Raiders if he ever stepped in. Coming in at number 11 is Sean Clifford, who went to the Green Bay Packers with pick 515. In the pre-draft process, I had him at number 17, and we will also give him a C for his dynasty outlook. It wasn't real big on him in the process. I didn't even really mention him that much in my pre-draft ranking video that we did, but landed in a decent spot for rookie quarterback. The only thing ahead of him, is an unproven Jordan Love. Decent weapons there. They got Christian Watson. Just brought in Jaden Reed out of Michigan State. Of course, they had their duo of running backs there. So would need something to happen, I guess he actually just needs Jordan Love to play bad, and there's a chance we could see him this year just because they don't really have anything else on the roster. They didn't really bring in any high name backups. So he's a guy that in super flex leagues, I'm very much throwing on my taxi squad and just kind of seeing what happens there. You can get him 5th round of rookie drafts or completely undrafted and just pick him up for free, throw him on there. Last guy we got here in tier number 4 is going to be Jaren Hall, who went to the Vikings. Going to give his dynasty outlook a C minus. What that means here is it's kind of like a deeper league bench or taxi squad spot. We've heard rumors already of the Vikings wanting to move on from Kirk Cousins. So there's a potential we could see that happen this year. I don't think that Jaren Hall is going to be the guy long term. But he could maybe steal some starts during that time while they are transitioning to whoever their future quarterback would be. So for that reason alone, there is a somewhat not clear, but a reasonable path to playing time if the Vikings start slow or they get a good offer for Kirk Cousins and finally do decide to turn it over somewhere else. Maybe he's a guy that you get a few bye week production in your bye weeks out of. Moving down to tier 5, and these are all guys that went in the 6th round or later and that I don't ever really see being fantasy relevant. Number 13, we have Tanner McKee, who went to the Eagles. I'm going to give his dynasty outlook a D+. Pre-draft ranks, he was number 11. Number 14, we have Malik Cunningham of the Patriots. Also gave him a D+. There's some rumors of him being open to maybe trying out some different positions. So maybe in like your deeper 20 to 32 team leagues, where you have those deep starting lineups and you need like an 11th bench player or an 11th starter, maybe he's the guy that you throw in there during the bye weeks and, he gets a couple gadget plays and takes 40 yards and a touchdown, something like that. Had him at number 15 in the pre-draft process, and he jumped up to 14, but it is because of the news, not as a quarterback. Coming in at number 15 is Max Duggan, who went to the Chargers. He is my biggest dropper. Unfortunately, I had him at number 7 in the pre-draft process. Things I said before are still true. If he ever did find his way into a starting job, I think the way he plays could translate into fantasy points. But he's going to be sitting there behind Justin Herbert now. So unless things go way, way wrong, there's no way he's seen the field this year. Although it is a good system there, and with the Chargers, that Kellen Moore that they brought in to run the offense there. So good offense, but just not good opportunity there. Number 16, we have Tyson Bagent. He went to the Bears. I believe he was an undrafted guy that signed after, though. We had him at number 12 in the pre-draft, so he dropped a little bit too. Number 17, we got Tanner Morgan. He signed with the Steelers. Pre-draft had him number 16. And then rounding out the ranks, we got number 18, Adrian Martinez. He was 18 in the pre-draft process. The last few guys I'll mention, we gave a D- for their outlook there. Thank you guys for tuning in here. I will be reviewing the rest of the rookie ranks throughout the next kind of week or two now that we have some dead time after the draft. Again, make sure you head over to fantasy6pack.net/plans, become an all-access member, get access to all the tools. We got, like I said, dynasty rankings, we got redraft rankings, betting tools, DFS tools, and then best of all, you get access to our Discord forum where you can pop in, send a message to me, get help on your fantasy team directly. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.